In Canada, we mature our eggnog in our fire pits in winter. 2020 is leaving. I remember this one. This has removed a lot of panties in my day. Are you ready? Always. I'm always ready. It is Christmas. The Cowboys are in the festive season. We've got little elf on the shelf doing his thing here in Cowboy HQ. And there's nothing better to celebrate Christmas than to do some really good Christmassy kind of drinks. So we're gonna give you 3. The fingers came out right this time. The one you all know, that's a North American thing, it's called eggnog. Very complicated recipe, you have to cook it, separate the eggs. The second one we're gonna do is a good old South African classic, and it might not be a Christmas one, but the South Africans like this one. It's called Don Pedro. The third one, which we discovered only here in Canada recently, it's called moose milk. And in true form, we're not giving you recipes because cowboys don't use recipes. We make it up as we go. And these ones are pretty easy anyway. The last ingredient in every one of these drinks is, as you've guessed, alcohol to taste. So let's go do some tasting. The most complicated drink is actually the eggnog, because effectively what we're going to end up doing is making a bit of an Italian custard, and then from the custard we will be dressing it up with alcohol. To start the recipe we need 5 egg yolks. So let's get our 5 yolkies going. Here we go. Yolk number 5. 3 cups of milk. I'm going to use some of this really good half and half stuff they've got here in North America, because it makes it a little bit more like real milk. That's 2, obviously. Let's do the third one. Nobody knows what eggnog really is until you come to North America. And I've had all kinds of very weird things. Some people actually whip the egg whites and the egg yolks and everything up raw, and then you drink it and you keep your fingers crossed salmonella is not coming for your visit. But today this is the safe version that we're making, which is also unfortunately the most complicated I haven't even started yet. Cowboy, you know what? This is not right. Definitely not right. We need to get into the spirit of things. You and I need to celebrate. 2020 is leaving. And before we get any further down this path of making our Christmas drinks, there you go. George. Okay? There you go. Number 1. There you go. That's it. Now I'm ready for eggnog. Let's get the eggnog going. 3 cups. That's actually a pretty nice brandy. It's the cheapest one in the shop. Where were we?
Eggnog.
Fucking, I think we need to do another one.
Some good apple juice.
Oh man. It's getting better. You want another one?
No. Time for eggnog.
Time for eggnog. Alright. Sugar. I took the flour out.
There's a problem.
Flour won't work, sugar will work. And in this particular case, we need to make a big pot of sugar. Okay, sugar. Does that look like half a cup of sugar to you? Yeah, I think so. That's half a cup of sugar. Just to be, for good luck, a little bit more. Flavor agents, 2.5 teaspoons vanilla, 2 teaspoons, and that one is for good luck. That one is 3. So we got vanilla, sugar, milk, 2 cups of cream. I know the majority of this video is about the eggnog, and you'll see how we make it, and you might say, where's the recipe? And we'll post the recipe, that's not hard. But this is the standard by which everything else is going to be measured. So I have to do it right. But once we do the moose milk and the Don Pedro, I think by then probably we have a few of those things already, so we wouldn't need a very complicated recipe. So the idea here is we're going to bring this, make it hot, but not too hot. And this is where the good old thermometer is going to do the thing. Remember that barbecue thermometer that you need when you cook with the Cowboys? This is a probing thermometer. Yoder, we are giving you some scope here. So the idea is we need to get this heated up to about 65 degrees. We need to get our eggs nicely whitely whipped and creamy and ready so that we can introduce the eggs into this warm fluid, and that is the technical part of this whole thing. We want to whip our egg yolk so that it's nice and light and creamy color. See that? 57 degrees, 58 degrees. So this is sort of where you're going to pull off the beef roast, or if you were cooking steak, you already overcooked it by now. But it gets a little important at this point in time because you need to introduce eggs in hot liquid. What does happen when you do that usually? Scrambled eggs. You don't want scrambled eggs. So the way I do it makes it a little easier is you need to call what they call tempering. So you take your little eggies, put a little bit of hot liquid with eggs and vigorously introduce the motion in here. This is all beautiful fluidly. Okay, good. And that's all really that it's about. Now you can introduce your eggs into the warmer liquid. See how nice and frothy it gets? Effectively, we're making a custard. We're using egg yolks. The egg yolks are being emulsified into the dairy solution. We're heating it up, and what the egg yolks will do is it will thicken the solution so that you have a nice creamy eggnog that you, once you add your alcohol to it, it will just be phenomenal. We're not going to bring this to a boil. If you boil this, eggnog is not going to happen. You have to bring it up to pasteurizing temperature. For all our techos out there, that's 85 degrees Celsius. Once you hit 85 degrees Celsius, you'll find that this thing is going to thicken up. Can you see it coats the back of the spoon? See there, cowboy? Mm-hmm. That means it's ready. So this is where the cream goes in. Immediately it cools down the mixture. A few spicy thingies needs to happen now. 1 teaspoon cinnamon, 3/4 teaspoon nutmeg. So what do you usually have with eggnog?
Isn't it rum?
You're making it complicated, you know that. It's not rum. Yes, it is rum. Usually rum. Today we decided Our Lady Brandy. I'm going to stay with the recipe for now. If it was the Cowboys, the first batch will probably get a half a cup of this in. The second batch will probably get a whole cup of it in. And the third batch will probably not have any eggnog, just the alcohol. But that's, anyway, that's just the Cowboy version. Alcohol in. And if you are the sucker that buys this in the store, you have no idea how good it actually is. How good it is. Time to test. Wow. Cowboy. One thing missing. Rapid frosting. In Canada, we mature our eggnog in our fire pits in winter. Give it some nogging and love. Let's go do the moose milk and the Don Pedro. There's a story behind this one, and I would encourage you to go and Google moose milk in Canada. It's actually a pretty good story. Very simple, as I said to you before. 1 cup of coffee, 1 cup half and half, 1.5 cups of ice cream. The rest is all alcohol and stuff to your liking. So 1 cup of coffee, Cowboy, we're good with that. 1 cup half and half. Done. Then we do 1.5 cups of ice cream. There you go. So this is where the alcoholic portion of the situation comes in. Tavares is the cheapest we could buy today, and what we need of that is, as far as this ratio is concerned, a 1/4 cup. As far as the Cowboys ratio is concerned, it's more like half a cup. And lastly, but not leastly, how do you know if Kahlua is still right? The only way my liver can cope with the alcohol today is by using manual labor. There's moose milk. Now all that's left over, Cowboy, is Dom Pedro. The thing with the Dom Pedro is, as most things go in South Africa, you start with the ice cream. 450 grams of ice cream. The next thing we need in our Dom Pedro, 120 milliliters heavy cream. The next thing we need in a Dom Pedro, 180 milliliters of whiskey. Do you know how much is 180? Let's be scientific here. I think 180 milliliters of whiskey is about a...
More.
Huh? Why would we skimp on this one? I think it's about a cup. 3/4 of a cup whiskey. Now you understand when I was saying of all these drinks we're making at the moment, the reason why this is called the Dom Pedro is you won't remember much after you've had this grown-up milkshake. Manual labor, because all the alcohol and sugar you're going to have. Moment of truth. This is where the rubber hits the road. This is where Christmas happens. Time to pitch the eggnog. You think it's cool now, cowboy? All of these look like kiddies drinks. They're not kiddies drinks. You cannot get them at Two Cowboys. We are not licensed to do this. This is unfortunately the kind of thing you'll be doing back home in your backyard. So here's the basic verdict. Eggnog, moose milk, Dom Pedro. Eggnog, moose milk, Dom Pedro. What are we doing? Blind tasting? No. We're gonna do blind tasting. We are in COVID after all. Just bear with me for a second here. These things are useful for something. Blind tasting. Okay. Moose milk.
That's an easy one.
That's an easy one because you can taste the coffee. All right, next one. I remember this one. This has removed a lot of panties in my day. This is Dom Pedro. Am I right?
Yeah.
No? Yeah, but it's the mask's fault. I cannot smell.
Cannot smell, cannot taste.
I cannot smell, I cannot see, I cannot taste. Okay, I've seen it now, so
go for it.
Screw the mask. This is not good. Alright, Dom Pedro, this is a panty remover, we know that. This is the fancy one. Now, with all the effort that goes in there versus these two, I'm expecting this should be at least a 15 on a scale of 10. Cowboy, what do you reckon? This is a hard one. It's a hard one. I would say of all three of these, this is more Christmas than anything, obviously because of the nutmeg. First time in my life I'm having moose milk. Moose milk is a really good companion for a panty remover we call Dom Pedro in South Africa. So if I have to double fist this, these are my babies. If I have to impress someone, I will go with eggnog. But if it's a night you want to remember, Dom Pedro. See you later. Folks, thank you very much for joining us. Cowboy's gonna do his taste now. Merry Christmas from the Cowboys 2020. I'm gonna say it because he's gonna bleep it out, a fuck up of a year. But thank you for sticking with the Cowboys, giving us a chance to open HQ, entertain you with some of our recipes. The point we're trying to make here is not how do you make things. You can read that with all the other guys doing the cooking programs. It's the fact you can have fun to do it. And it doesn't have to be 100%, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. And that's what life is about. A little bit of everything. And that's the only message we can leave you is go get it. Don't wait. Life's too short. Get yourself some moose milk, Dom Pedro, and eggnog. And enjoy the season with us.